What's up, everybody? This is Chris Nichols, and you're listening to an episode of the Nichols&Dimez show. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome back to a year in review, part 2. This episode will feature quick little highlight snippets from each of my conversations with my guests in the second half of 2023. You can listen to part 1 for all the guests from the first half of the year, but I really think this is a very digestible format and great way to get an idea of what the Nichols&Dimez show is all about. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It was tons of fun listening back to these episodes and putting together some of the best moments from these conversations. Hopefully this serves as a great celebration of the progress we made in 2023 and all the fascinating guests that were on the show, but also will give you some motivation and contribute to a very positive transition for all of us going into 2024. Please enjoy. First up, Matt Hersh, business and energy master coach and founder of Impact Accelerator, a program that enables solopreneurs to build profitable businesses while staying true to themselves and creating the life of their dreams. What is an entrepreneurial life hack that is against the norm, against the mainstream belief that you've come up with unique to you that you could share with the audience?
Your business can only expand to the degree your nervous system can hold. So if you're hitting blockages in your business, maybe, just maybe, stop looking at your business and look at what internal blockers, what past traumas, what mindset loops, what spiritual limiters are holding you back from being the person who you need to be in order to move beyond that bottleneck.
Wow. I love it. That's deep. Basically a reminder that you have all the power. And you're most of the time your greatest enemy is yourself. Your greatest blocker is, and if you can clear that up, then the sky's the limit. Mm-hmm. Next up, Maxine Chapman, CEO and founder of Surf Dirt, a mineral non-toxic sunscreen company. Why should somebody use this sunscreen, Surf Dirt, instead of the hundreds of others that they can choose from out there?
It's honestly gotten really confusing, the sunscreen space, and I feel for consumers who are trying to do the right thing because that landscape is so confusing now. Mm-hmm. But what we do is only the least possible toxicity of any currently known formula. Yeah. So that means significantly better for you and for the ocean. Synthetic chemical sunscreens have hormone disruptors, and you know how sunscreens, most chemical ones go on clear. Okay. There's no such thing as clear sunscreen. Yeah. That's just your skin or your dermal layer absorbing it in less than a second. Got it. And if it's getting absorbed by your dermal layer, it means it's going into your bloodstream. And doctors will even tell breastfeeding moms now not to wear that stuff because it's going into your bloodstream in less than a second. That's why it looks like it's absorbed. Oh, wow. Crazy. Whoa. And then, of course, a breastfeeding mom, it's hormone disruptors. Hormone disruptors aren't great for any of us. They're endocrine disruptors, not good stuff. But it's especially problematic in your first 3 growth stages. Yeah. So really bad for babies. So a whole plethora of issues around it for us. Not great. And then talking about the ocean, I mean, of course it's not the only pollutant, right? We've got all kinds of things polluting the ocean every day. Mm-hmm. But just one drop of the common chemical called oxybenzone pollutes up to 6 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of coral reef. Wow. Yeah, one drop. And unbelievable. Isn't that insane? Yeah. And we're pumping hundreds of tons of this stuff into the ocean every single year. I mean, in Hawaii, I mean, it's you'll see that greasy layer above the ocean. Yeah. I mean, tons of this stuff in the ocean. Yeah. A lot of that studies is coming from Scripps Institute here in San Diego. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, it's coming from all over. But they're leading a lot of it. Exactly. So it's not the only pollutant that's causing coral reef decline internationally, but it's such an easy one to fix. Sure. And it's we don't need 10 people being absolutely perfect about perfect vegan who is never gonna wear it, and it's nothing. We need millions of people
to make
who
a
are
difference.
oriented towards progress.
For sure.
Who are gonna pick the things that they can change on. And this is such an easy one.
Next up, Melody Kramarz, personal trainer and founder of Vayana Fitness. What is an entrepreneurial life hack that is against the mainstream belief that you've come to follow, to believe, based off your unique experience as a entrepreneur, a business owner? Is there something that strikes a chord with you that you're able to share with the audience?
Yeah, for sure. It's going back to, you might hate it. You might just hate it at first. Yeah. And you can, there is the efficient way to do something, and then there's your way to do something. The efficient way to do something, if that feels like a struggle, it's not going to be the most efficient, because you're not going to want to do it. You're going to procrastinate on taking the actions. You're not going to want to complete the things you need to complete in order to, stay on that track. And that's what happened for the first 2 years. It's like I wasn't doing it my way, and I was, following these guidelines, and I just wouldn't do the work. And now that I have my own vision, my own goal, my own way of going about these things, my own client acquisition strategy that I align better with, my social media strategy that I align better with, how I take care of my own clients that I align better with. Like, now that I have my way figured out, which took 3 years, now I want to do it, and now I'm passionate about my business, and now I can't wait to grow it, and I look forward to working on it every day, and I look forward to offering more value. So it's like, if you hate it, that means you just gotta change the way you're going about it, and you will learn to love it as soon as it aligns with you.
Wow. Next up, Emily Hayden, IFBB Bikini Pro, lifestyle YouTube vlogger, mentorship coach, and podcast host of the Evolve with Emily show.
That brings me to recently, a couple months ago, all of my podcast equipment was stolen out of my car. Yeah, and it was just, I actually had just gotten back from a podcast tour where I had all these amazing podcasts in, I did one in San Diego, a few in Arizona, a few in Vegas and LA. I just came back from this amazing tour. I was super on fire. I was like, I'm going to restart my solo episodes. I know what I need to do. And then I left my stuff in the trunk of my car because I'd unloaded everything in the car itself. And then, everything was stolen. And that caused me to pause. And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, let's get your stuff back right away. Let's take all this action. And I was like, no, this happened for a reason. And I need to figure out why. I need to sit with this for a minute. So instead of jumping straight into fixing it, jumping straight into action, I paused. I was like, let me take a step back. Let me tune in with myself. Like you mentioned, those answers that are within. Let me see if this is a direction that I need to go, or if this is the universe telling me to go a different direction altogether. I was willing to walk away from it if I felt like that's where I was being led. And I needed to know the answer for myself. I needed to know for sure that it was something I needed to return to. So I took time away from the podcast, and then I was a guest speaker at an event. My friend Komodina had this event in San Diego called Rise. And there I was able to meet podcast subscribers and subscribers? Yeah, podcast right?
Listeners, subscribers, fans.
When I'm talking about all platforms, I get so confused. Right. But yeah, people that listen to the show, I did my speaking gig it was like an hour speaking gig, and then I got to talk to them. And the reflections that they shared with me, I was just like, oh my gosh, what I do is so important. And not with a level of self-importance. It's not that at all. It's like this deep understanding and recognition that the things that I share and what I do impacts people. And if it's actually impacting people, I will, come hell or high water, I will do it. Wow. And I just needed that reminder that it's impacting, because after being on platforms for so many years, after having so many ups and downs, sometimes you question things, and especially with the influx of starting on Instagram, when it was insane amount of contact with your audience all the time. People are always DMing you and messaging you. When that slows down it's hard to navigate that. Sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe it's not making an impact. Maybe it's not important. Maybe people don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And those were the honest thoughts and feelings that I was navigating. Wow. And when I was able to meet people in person who, oh my goodness, shared the most beautiful reflections of me about how my journey, my podcast has impacted them, I was like, there's not a chance in hell am I going to quit this. Yeah, like I have to keep going. And literally the next day I started the podcast again on my phone. No equipment still.
Wow, I love that. Next up, Montez Blair, actor, writer, and prior professional athlete in track and field.
Doing acts of kindness can change not only who you are, the makeup of who you are, but it also can change the life of somebody else.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be public. But I've noticed that because I'm such a giving person, it's helped me grow as an entrepreneur. Most people think that I need to take in order to have and grow. My mom had this my whole family had this very strong mindset on, in order to gain power, you need to relinquish it. Yeah. And I thought that was amazing. I still think that it's amazing. And it also fills my soul, like my life energy, when I help somebody else.
Nice.
So entrepreneurs, do not forget that you're still human and you have two hands. One to help yourself. One to lend to somebody else.
There you go.
And I can guarantee you, if you lock hands with somebody else, you will grow.
Next up, Pete Lemke, owner of Dropkick Brew, a San Diego-based coffee brand, also owner of Preppies, Poke Vita, and Good Bar. What's an entrepreneurial life hack that's against the mainstream belief? I mean, what you just said could qualify as an answer to that, but I don't know if you have anything specific that you had in mind to answer that question instead.
You know what? I read that when you sent it over. And I actually am very passionate about the answer, and it's whether it's entrepreneurship or whatever the case. I don't think the hack is there is no hack. It's whether it's building a business or making your bed.
Okay, I love it.
and I'll explain, because right now I feel like everybody's trying to give that hack, and they're actually trying to profit off it too. They're trying to sell you with the hack to be. Yeah, I'm sure you see it all the time. You get 100%. Ads run against you, like to be a millionaire and four easy decisions to be a millionaire. Yeah. To run a bit, like the hack is there is no hack. For me, it's like starting a business is such an important decision, and people say chase your passion, and I say chase your energy. If you find something, whether it's a can of coffee or training someone online, and it gives you energy thinking about it, doing it, experiencing it, then you're going to do whatever it takes, And so if someone gives you the hack, like you got to wake up at 5 a.m., you got to eat your probiotics, you have to. No, you don't have to. Find that thing that then you start developing your hacks. Like me with this product and this business, I fucking love it, man. And it does give you that energy. Now, am I an extreme passionate person about coffee? I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I am very enthused and energetic about building this business at scale. I am so enthused, and honestly talking about it just brings even more lifeblood, because I'm so in it that I have rare opportunities to talk about it. I like coming outside of it and talking like this about it. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're but then I go back to and focus on it, but it's what gives me energy. So it sounds cheesy unless I give that explanation, that the hack is there is no hack, but there's not, because everybody's trying to sell a hack, and I promise you none of them really pan out.
Next up, David Belogolovsky, founder and CEO of Owl Vision LLC, a premier event production company. So what you just said was interesting, though. You said your hands were tied, so you had to see it through. Does that mean throughout COVID, even during the most questionable times, you were under the impression, or you had the commitment of, I'm doing this no matter what, we need to get back to normal life as soon as possible so I can continue, because there's no other way out?
Yeah, pretty much my mentality with COVID was I don't really believe this. There's no way that this is going to get taken away from me. I spent my whole life on it. Yeah. And even as it's starting as a DJ in SCU, right? I was going against the grain. I was trying to do something different, and the entrepreneurialism there wasn't even recognized till now, really, because like back then I was just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
But really, I was trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
And I think during COVID, I'm really thankful. Like, yes, it was the most stressful time of my life, but I also got to meet my wife, which is amazing. I got to spend time because I work so hard and so much that it's hard it's impossible basically for me to go out on dates and do stuff like that. And so I was able to focus on myself. Like I lost 50 pounds. I was doing like 50 miles biking a day, climbing 5,000 foot elevations and stuff like that. I was really focusing on like my mental state. Yeah. Hoping and knowing that one day this will come back. Yeah. Right? And like the amount of gear I owned, how deep I was in it, right? Like, when am I going to start selling it?
Right.
Like, and to who?
Yeah.
Like they're not doing events. So I was stuck. Like other people can go get a different job. I can't,
Next up, Alex Taylor, founding member of the Tasteless Gentlemen's Show, otherwise known as Scoop, and also founder and CEO of Jungle Athletic Company, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu apparel line. What do you need to look for up front, whether it's a close friend of yours, a spouse, or someone you just have a casual relationship with? What are the most important factors to look for up front?
100%. Yeah, I already know the answer because I've dealt with this a few times. Yin and yang skills.
Okay.
So skills that I possess a certain skill set. Yeah. That person does, and they can overlap a little bit, but they shouldn't be completely overlap. You know, let's just, I don't know, let's say we start a company, a design company, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. And we're both, very talented designers, and we're competing for what the vision of the designs all the time, instead of focusing on, the other stuff. Right. It's like, what it should be is a very talented designer. You have designer experience, but you have experience, selling, getting customers. Sure. That's what marries up. That's good. Someone in design, someone in the business, and maybe they overlap. Maybe this person has some business experience. Yeah. Maybe they have some design experience. But having the same skills, it's literally never going to work. You're going to get an argument. Yeah. It's just, I don't believe in the astrology thing, but like, if you have two Tauruses, in a relationship, right. Like they're just going to butt heads. There's something there to that, So.
Next up, Nick Komodina, business energetics coach, speaker, and mentor. Also host of his podcast, Headstrong. That's what it is, right? You get the right referral, the right customer.
Well, something that I try to teach all my clients now is you got to realize one person can change your life. Yeah. It's one client. Exactly. It's one post. It's one podcast. Yeah. It's one YouTube video that changes everything for you. Yeah. If you do it as significant as you can. Yeah. Because if you go half-ass on a reel and that's the reel that finally goes viral for you, that means nothing.
That'll define you not in the right way.
Right. Yeah. And so people just half-ass their content, trying to post once a day to beat the algorithm. Yeah. Most people would do better posting twice a week. Yeah. Super fucking well. Yeah. Yeah. With their energy, their value. Yeah. And it just get lost because there's so much information. What do? I don't want to lose the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't matter if your content sucks.
Yes, dude. Next up, Kecho, CEO and owner of Microdose Movement, specializing in psychedelic education and awareness. Also, owner of Glamping and RV Resort, De Anza Springs, which hosts wellness retreats, music festivals, and glamping experiences.
I chose the frat life, and I had a ton of fun, and naturally was just like, okay, cool, like how do I monetize this, and became a promoter, event producer, and I would do all girl Vegas trips, 150 girls from SDSU, and go to the nightclubs, and just be me and 3 chaperones and all these beautiful women, and I was like, whoa. But there's no real longevity in that, right? It's I realized that was when I became an enabler, that yes man. I thought when I was providing the party and the tables and the alcohol and all the fun stuff, I was enabling people, because people usually come when they go out. They're, some people are having fun with it, but a lot of people are kind of running away from something, a pain, an uncomfortable situation. Yep.
They're numbing themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. And look, I like to have fun as well. and I still do. But now it's like I have a different approach where it's calculated. It's meant for longevity and retention, and sustainability. So that's kind of like when I went into the spiritual path, and now it's now I dabble here and there, but then also like to do the breath work. I like to do the ice baths. I like to do the workouts and the hot yoga and all that stuff. So and I think now having this space and having the microdose movement, it really revolves around mental health. Like, how can I give people an experience that can help them take their lives and really propel themselves to the next level, like it did for me.
Next up, Dominique Bell, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo black belt and coach, influencer, and YouTuber. What made you so good so fast? When do you think it clicked for you? I mean, was it just the passion and commitment you had to it, or were there other X factors that you could point out?
I think I never looked at jiu-jitsu like as fighting a person. I looked at it as like just techniques to beat the position their body's in. It was like a problem to solve, and I love to solve problems. And so like anytime I'm going to training, I'm really like, I'm training with intention. I've got a problem on my mind that I want to solve, and that problem usually comes from my previous training where I'm like, why did that happen? I'm remembering it. I'm asking people better than me. I'm writing it in my journal. I trained with a lot of intention, and I also trained like a lot of volume. Like I remember like when I was like a white belt or blue belt, even like I would train for like hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, like after work, or like I would take a long lunch or whatever, and it would just be me and the heavy bag. I'm just doing drills on the heavy bag the whole time, and then I'll rest a little bit, and I'll do drills that I feel like would help like my passing and stuff like that. Like I was super obsessed. So I think training with intention, not like I say like looking at it as a problem, because I think a lot of people train against the person, that they're fighting, rather than the body and the problem they're representing, so it kind of like clouds your problem solving, and you're not looking at things in a technical way. You're just like, I gotta fuck that guy up. He tapped me, I'm gonna tap him. For me, it's like, oh, he's in reverse De La Riva, and he framed me here, and he's making space. So how do I like make him not do that? And then you start going in that direction. And then you're like, oh, I'm beating a lot of people. Like, this is cool, Yeah.
Next up, Thomas Herrisson, founder of Blockrise, now known as the Gemini credit card, and currently founder and CEO of Rocco, a crypto-based lending platform.
You have to manage all of that while also ensuring that you're providing a value proposition and a card experience that's better than any other credit card out there, especially when you have Chase and Amex offering $200, $300 bonuses.
Right. Yeah, you're operating as a bank, and there's basically
so that's like a big deal. Yeah, so like when you frame it like that, and I almost wish that it's almost good that I didn't have that framing when I first started out. Because I probably wouldn't have like tried to actually do it, because I would have thought like, yeah, there's no chance I'm going to be able to pull this off.
That's so interesting. So you just kind of going for it without understanding fully what was in store in front of you was the reason why you went ahead with it.
Yeah, that's huge. What's the word for it? Like the naivete? Yeah. However you say it. That. Like it's a blessing and a curse, right? It's a curse in the sense of, you're kind of signing up for something that you don't know what the full scope of what you're signing up for,
right?
And what means that it can be so much more challenging than you thought. But it's also a blessing, because it's like, you probably wouldn't have started down that path, and you wouldn't have gone through that journey if you had known that in the first place.
Yeah. Next up, Necoda Matthew, sustainable clothing and fashion designer under his brand Necoda Matthew. How the hell did you keep up with this demand?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually the craziest part, because when I first blew up out of nowhere, I did start getting I had stuff on the website, like random shit that I've had on there for years.
And you just had them in stock.
The whole website sold out.
Oh wow!
It sold out overnight. When I was when the followers were going up 10,000 a day, and I was like, holy shit! If it's gonna be like this,
I need more stuff to sell. Like people are buying, I'm going to make. And so I was going out thrifting and doing these drops of like 10 to 12 pieces. I was putting out every week, and I was selling out in 10 minutes. Like 5 to 10 minutes of posting. I'd be like, hey, I'm doing this drop at this time. I would be going out with my friends. And we'd be sitting at the bar, and I'd be like, yo, watch this. And it would like turn to 8. It would turn to 8 o'clock, and it'd be like Shopify order, Shopify order, Shopify order, Shopify order.
Dude,
and like it would sell out like instantly.
Next up, Eli Facenda, founder and CEO of Freedom Travel Systems, which offers mentorship and services to help people maximize their travel experiences using points. What pieces of information were examples of things that you felt like gave you an edge, that put you in a position to say, hey, I actually have something that's valuable where I can sell this?
I mean, there's so many. The cool thing about the credit card points world is like there's like a gazillion small tactics that you can apply that make a big difference. And then there's kind of like overall strategies as well. But like, for example, I could be like, oh, you want to get Southwest Companion Pass? Like you live in a Southwest hub, you have a partner, like you guys could travel 2 people or 1 person, like basically buy one, get one free. So you get 2 people for the price of 1 for 4 years with like one little hack, right? So there's a tactic like that where I'm like, okay, for the right person, that can add like thousands of dollars of value within like a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, this makes a lot of sense. But the biggest thing was really, how do we take the points that people are earning and turn those into like way better travel experiences? Because most people were just burning through them, going to Amex Travel or Chase Travel, like was what we call the travel portal. And they get 1 cent for each point. So they'd have, let's say, 1 million points. They'd redeem them there, or worse yet, go to places like Amazon and they'd get maybe $6,000 to $10,000. And I was like running the numbers. And I'm like, okay, the way that I'm doing this, those same points would be worth like 30, 40, 50, maybe $70,000. And I'm like, so that's a lot of value for someone that has that many points. And I was like, who are the kind of people that have that many points? I'm like, business owners typically, because they're spending a lot. I'm like, so I can add the most value to them. I also wanted to be around business owners more because that's how I identified. And I was like, I'll get to network, meet cool people. So that's kind of how I initially started, was like, these people have the most value to be had and the least time and desire to learn this stuff because they're busy. Whereas a lot of people that are kind of starting out, they're like, look, I can maybe get 5 to 10K out of this, which is still substantial, but you know, I work a 9 to 5. I have a little more time. I'd like to learn it. I don't want to pay someone for this as much. And so there was a little bit of like a difference of who are the people that value their time a lot and have the most opportunity to get value. And it was like, it made sense that business owners were the people to go to.
Next up, Kyle Lasota, sleep expert and biohacking YouTuber.
You know, in the first month, he gave me this one test called the organic acids test. And it came back like really high in mold. Off the charts. It's like, oh, you have a really bad mold infection, Kyle. I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense why I've been feeling this way and having these symptoms and these issues for so long. So then in that process, that's when I started getting really obsessed with health and sleep in particular, because I was in this guy, Sam Ovens' mastermind, who used to run this company called consulting.com. And he, you know, people are paying $36,000 to be in this room. And he's talking about how every entrepreneur needs to have an Oura ring. And that's the first thing they need to do is like master their sleep. And so I took that to heart. I'm like, okay, this guy knows something. He's making $36 million a year in revenue. And he knows something I don't. Like, let me listen, be a good student. So I bought the Oura ring, got obsessed, started tracking, started measuring, started tinkering, started experimenting. And then eventually I cracked the code on me getting insanely good sleep, like better sleep than everyone else around me. And I started posting about it online, and people are going crazy. They're like loving it. They're just like, how are you doing this? And like, I'm just having the same conversation over and over and over again. So I'm just like, I should sell something, you know? So I did a beta launch post. I'm like, hey, if I put this together, would you buy it? And that was the impetus of the Sleep Advantage. And they were like, yes. I got hundreds of comments. So I just pre-sold it at like a $7 price point just to see if people would buy it. And they did. Then I increased the price, then, you know, added more to it, got the feedback. And then, you know, that just became an asset in the ecosystem that I started to build on YouTube. Because the thing with affiliate marketing is it's great in its nature for passivity, but it's not good because it's like there's so much out of your control. And so I felt like I needed a way to control my traffic and build a relationship with the people who are buying, so that they were customers of me, not just of these companies. So I was trying to figure out a way to sell affiliate products, but have people buy from me first. Yeah. So in the course, there's affiliate products built into it. So the idea was, I'll make YouTube videos that are evergreen, continue to bring traffic into the top of the funnel. And then as they buy the course, then I recommend products that I use and love and really work. And so they get this relationship of connecting their transformation with a buying process from me, a recommendation, which should build a lot of trust. So over time, if I help people transform their sleep and they buy some products that help them do that, then when in the future, when I recommend something to them, they'll buy it every single time because it's like, okay, Kyle knows what he's talking about. Exactly. So the idea was to become this trusted source of someone who's a filter in the health space.
Next up, Liam Eriksson, co-founder and CEO of Guy Fawkes, a luxury cologne and candles business. So on that first piece, the easy part, make it easy. I want to talk about that for a second. And the pain that stands out to me, obviously the affordability is obvious, right? Some of these colognes are very expensive. You don't really know what you're paying for in many cases, right? Compared to all the different other brand names out there that are apparently owned by just a few bigger companies, right? But the easy part, is that because it's so overwhelming with all the different options, and it's all the people in Macy's, for example, are all coming at you and saying all these different things, and you don't really know why this is more valuable than the other?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I mean, you're hitting it spot on, and it's amazing because you are a consumer of it probably. And so you kind of relate and empathize. Right. Yeah, it's exactly what you just mentioned. You're overwhelmed by a plethora of options. 2, you're not educated about like what you are looking for. Yeah. And 3, like it's hysterical just to even see the marketing materials for like you just see Adam Driver naked with like a horse next to him. And you're like, Burberry hero. Like I'm totally gonna rock that tomorrow, right? I was like, it was like comedic to me where I was like, okay, well why don't? There's so many awesome clothing brands out there. There's so many awesome like normal brands. Like why is fragrances always so avant-garde? Why is it so pretentious? All these things and all these barriers. And so to do the easy part, I was like, this is the flagship of Guy Fawkes, and this is the whole reason why we started the company. Why don't we make it as easy as possible for a guy to experience fragrance from their own home? And so all you have to do is get our starter kit. And so our starter kit is this little box. It includes 6 of our best sellers and a code in it to redeem for your full-size bottle. So you get to try all 6 at home because honestly, fragrances change on your body. I thought that was super capped when I first started. I was like, that's such a marketing ploy. Like, it couldn't be more true. It's super true. I didn't know that. Like 8 years ago. And so I was like, well, how about Chris gets to try this on at home? He gets to wear him to work, wear him to dates, count his compliments. And whenever he's ready, he just uses his little code to get his full-size bottle. So it's try before you buy kind of thing.
That's amazing.
So I was like, why doesn't everyone just do this?
Next up, Alex Sterner, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu strength coach, founder of Electrum Performance and Fight Cut Nutrition. So you can take some guidance from them, but you do need to create that path yourself, and it's your path, and no one else can do that but you. No one else knows what that is but you, and you're constantly on this journey to figure that out.
Can I add one caveat to that?
Sure.
Also, just a trend that I see a lot today. Stop branding yourself before you become the technician. Like, become a really good trainer before you have a freaking logo. That's okay. Like, honestly, it should, that I think is how it should go, right? Like, get really freaking good at the thing that you do, and the rest of it will figure itself out, right? But that's part of that identity. Have your identity be being really good at that thing, right? If you, if you run a roofing business or whatever, make sure that you and your employees provide that, you know, attention to detail that you want to be known for before it's the logo that's associated with your stuff, right? Like so many people, especially with social media, I think they see the finished products. They see the Alex Hormozi when he's already made it. Yeah. And they see his branding and his nasal strip and they're like, oh shit, I just need that thing like the nasal strip. No, you don't need that thing. The first thing, the reason he is who he is because he's fantastic at selling.
Yes.
Remove that one thing and all the other branding, all the other lessons, all those other things melt away. They don't matter. Yeah. Exactly. You know, myself with my stuff, yes, I have this way that I look at different elements of my business and trying to build out passive revenue streams and come up with the right business structure. Cool. But if that stuff all came before I learned how to train people well and focused on that, then that stuff wouldn't matter and you wouldn't be talking to me in my own office. Like none of those things should be possible, you know? Yeah. So I think treating yourself like that technician and be as technical at that thing as you can in that area, be humble, learn from the best, you know, develop those skills, add those tools to your toolbox. Then once you do that, you're like, all right, what's my brand? Yeah. What's my color scheme for my Instagram? What's whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's a wrap for 2023. Now let's kick some ass in 2024. Thank you for joining our conversation today on the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please check out and follow my podcast Instagram at nicholsanddimezshow. I'd love to have you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube. You can also find it on my website. I welcome and encourage any feedback you can share in the reviews so I can continue to improve and develop the show. Thanks again and see you next time.